Welcome candidates and audience members to the Foothill-De Anza Community College District Candidate Forum. I am Lisa McLean with the League of Women Voters, Los Altos Mountain View. First, I want to cover a few housekeeping items. Today's forum will last 1 hour. Due to the nature of a webinar, we cannot provide technical assistance to attendees, but all forums will be recorded and available from our election events page on our website. Our website is LWVLAMV.org. And they will also be on our YouTube channel, and we will add a link to the Q&A. Visible on your screen will be the league moderator, the candidates, and the timer app. Audience members are not shown. You may submit any questions about the event through the Q&A, and those answered will be visible to all attending. Chat will not be available. Questions for candidates have been submitted with registrations. We have combined similar questions to be able to cover as wide a range of topics as possible. If time permits, the moderator will ask for additional questions from the audience. We will ask you to submit them through the Q&A. All questions should be suitable to ask all candidates. At this time, I would like to introduce today's moderator, Peter Stahl. Pete?
Hi, thank you, Lisa. And welcome to all the candidates and welcome to the audience members. The League of Women Voters is a nonprofit organization of women and men that promotes informed, active participation in government. We do not support, oppose, or evaluate political candidates or parties, but after careful study, we do take positions on selected political issues. The League invites anyone who's interested in supporting democracy and local government to join us. Here's the format for today's forum, and I'd like to put in now that this is our first online candidate forum, and we are hoping for the best, but if a technical glitch does occur, we hope you'll bear with us. The format for today's forum: each candidate will make a 1-minute opening statement. Questions were selected to be relevant to all candidates and to provide useful information to the audience about issues in the race. Depending on the question, all candidates will be given 30 to 90 seconds to respond. Finally, the candidates will have 1 minute at the end to make a closing statement. An electronic timer will display each candidate's remaining time. The timer will also randomly shuffle the order of candidates responding to each question. We ask all of our candidates to abide by the following rules. First, time limits. When the timer line turns red, I will say, thank you. Please finish by completing your sentence. Second, respect. Candidates will not interrupt each other. And third, fairness. Campaign marketing materials will not be visible on the candidate's screen. Now I would like to introduce the 4 candidates who are running for the 3 seats on the Board of Trustees for the Foothill-De Anza Community College District. Thank you for participating in today's forum. We've got Govind Tarachari, Peter Landsberger, Laura Casas, and Gilbert Wong. And I believe now we are ready to begin. So let's begin with the 60-second opening statements in the order that you see on the timer screen. We'll begin with you, Govind. Go ahead.
So thank you, League of Women Voters, audience, and incumbents. I am Govind Tarachari. Few challenges and opportunities prompted me to run. They include transparency at the board level, rebuilding community support for funding, and challenges and opportunities created by the recent pandemic. I'll bring to the board a fresh set of eyes, skills, and perspective. I want to ensure that our community colleges remain excellent and affordable for all. As a public member, I participated in community, city, and regional meetings. I organized a forum on regional housing issues in Cupertino last year. Higher education is a key enabler for those who want to uplift themselves. It has been a key enabler for me. I have been engaged in the education cause and will elaborate during the closing statement. I'll represent the community and their perspective and help explore solutions for the Foothill-De Anza College District, including out-of-the-box thinking. I would like to win your support to be a trustee of the district.
Thank you very much. Next up is Gilbert Wong.
Good afternoon. My name is Gilbert Wong, and I'm seeking re-election for the Foothill-De Anza Community College trustee. I have served 9 years on the Cupertino City Council, 2 times as mayor. I was successfully elected in 2016 to be your trustee for Foothill-De Anza Community College. First, I want to continue the student success and to lower the achievement gap. I think that during COVID-19, it has been trying times, and we have did a very good job to pivot to distance learning. Second, we got to support teacher development and support our faculty, as they are key to educate our students. And third, during these economic times, social upheaval, wildfire fighters, and COVID-19, I believe that we need to be very fiscally responsible to make sure that our district is in good order. I'm very proud to have the endorsement of Congressman Anna Eshoo and Ro Khanna. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Peter Landsberger. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I believe everyone deserves the opportunity to receive a high quality, low cost education close to home. That's the kind of education they can get at Foothill-De Anza. It's one that will prepare them to transfer to a 4-year university with a solid academic foundation and minimum debt. Or it's the kind that will equip them for a challenging career that will support a family and enable them to thrive in Silicon Valley. I know I have the knowledge, experience, and commitment to help keep Foothill-De Anza fiscally sound and academically strong, and that's why I'm running for re-election. I have decades of experience as a higher education executive. I've been a faculty member, a dean, college president, a district vice chancellor, and a district chancellor. And during the past 4 years, I've had the privilege of serving as one of your trustees. I hope you will allow me to continue to work in that regard and that you will give me your vote. I look forward to answering the questions we will address today.
Thank you. And Laura Casas.
Good afternoon, League of Women Voters, and thank you for providing this forum, Open Democracy in Action. I have served on the Foothill-De Anza board for 15 years. I'm chair of the Audit and Finance Committee, and I've served on the statewide board of the Community College Trustees, and that was an elected position by my peers. I believe in the institution. It's the great equalizer in our democracy. I'm an immigrant and have fought my way for an education and graduated from law school, and totally believe that the doors of opportunity are open with community colleges. I chair the Audit and Finance Committee presently. I've given balanced budgets, and I fought in the tough years, and we're heading in for a tough year. My priority, of course, is workforce development, transfer, student support services, and technology classes. I ask for your vote. I have the Faculty Association endorsement and the endorsement of the entire Board of Trustees of Foothill-De Anza. I respectfully request your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we will ask a series of questions. And as you see, the order of the candidates is randomized. The first question: what strengths, qualities, and experience make you the best choice for voters? This will be a 60-second question, and we'll start with Govind. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm, first of all, the most important thing is I am very passionate about education. I have participated as a part of the alumni organization of my undergrad, and I actually organized a number of meetings, and I also organized, I was on the national board. So I have some idea as to what it takes to actually help education cause. We have also been very active in school events, and my wife has served on the PTA. The other thing is that I have participated in community, city, and also the regional meetings. And I have, as an unelected person, I was able to put together a forum which was attended by city council members from 4 different cities in 3 counties. And then I was able to, get the regional issues, housing issues talked about at a very, very difficult time last year. The third is that I think one of the
Thank
things I
you.
bring as, okay.
Good. And when I do say thank you, you have the opportunity to complete your current sentence. Next, Laura, what strengths, qualities, and experience make you the best choice for voters?
Well, I have served on the Foothill-De Anza board for 15 years, so I know the workings of the district, not only at the local level, but at the statewide level. And we depend, as a community college district, our institution, we depend on state funding. And we're constantly fighting for fair distribution of the monies from Sacramento. So that requires us to constantly have a good relationship with our legislators and our elected officials in Sacramento. I've been key in that regard. With Martha Cantor, I was the head of her legislative liaison committee. And also throughout the years, I have not only worked at the state level, but locally, I've acted as a mentor to our Learning Communities Project, the Puente, it's a bridge program. I believe all students, of course, deserve an excellent academic education, but I, for one, believe, I think my time is up, sorry.
Very good, thank you. Next, Gilbert Wong. What strengths, qualities, and experience make you the best choice for voters?
Thank you, Pete. I'm a proud graduate of a community college at West Valley. I had a choice to go straight into a 4-year university, but didn't have what it took at that time. And going to a community college really helped build up my character. Also, not only have completed 4 years on the trustee, but also I believe that I am a very good listener, consensus builder, and also to bring people together. Also, I have served on the De Anza Commission for 9 years. The commission gives recommendations of community group leaders to listen and to advise the college president. I also have served 4 years on the Foothill-De Anza Foundation, which helped fundraise money for both of our community colleges. And also I've been elected by my peers nationally to serve on the Association of Community College Trustees nationally, and served as president of the Asian Pacific Islanders and Native American Trustees Association. I think these experiences will help me for my reelection.
Thank you. And Peter Landsberger, what strengths, qualities, and experience make you the best choice for voters?
Well, first, I'm a community college graduate myself. I transferred from Santa Monica College to UC Berkeley, where I got my bachelor's in law degrees. I also have decades as a professional in the community college. I devoted my entire professional career to being a community college educator and completely dedicated to the mission. I know these issues, and I'm able to both challenge and support the faculty, staff, administrators, and gain their confidence and support, as well as helping them parse the issues. And finally, I think it's values. I think that if we're going to do anything in Silicon Valley to address issues like income inequality and the need for greater social justice, community colleges are going to be an essential part of that activity and that response. And I'm very dedicated to that pursuit.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the second question. And you see we've just been shuffled. So Gilbert, what is the greatest challenge facing the district over the next 2 years? This is also 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. I believe that with COVID-19, the economic recession, the social injustice that's going on is the economic economic direction that we have right now is that we have to carefully look at our budget. And in the next 2 years, that we have to make really very difficult decisions. This is where we need to come together with our faculty association, with our administrators, with the community, and figure out opportunities and also challenges of what we might need to cut in the future. I believe that's very important to have strong communication and talk to folks and not make any rational decisions, but make it collective so that we can have a win for everyone during these difficult times. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Laura, what is the greatest challenge facing the district over the next 2 years?
Well, as a result of COVID, of course, there will be extreme budget challenges. The state of California depends on tax money, and that's severely hampered this year because of people aren't going to restaurants and bars and retail and gas, paying taxes to the state of California. We depend on that. So that's going to be a tremendous challenge to maintaining the quality of education that we provide in our district. Fortunately for our area is we voted for a bond measure, which is going to help with the technology needs of the district for the next few years, but it's also going to help with the housing. The challenge is getting talent at the colleges that can afford to live here. And so judicious management of our bond measure will be also a careful review of that to make sure that we get talent in the district and provide housing for our future employees.
Thank you.
And students.
Peter, what is the greatest challenge facing the district over the next 2 years?
Well, in addition to keeping the colleges fiscally sound and academically strong, despite the many challenges posed by the pandemic and its fallout, and they're going to be severe, I'm afraid, there's the need to make sure that students from all backgrounds succeed in reaching their goals and being able to improve their families and community. And that's going to require keeping a focus on responding to the many disparate needs that students come to us with, including needs that are beyond the academic. The issues of housing and food insecurity, mental health, for example, are increasingly ones we can't avoid. And in addition, the colleges need to redesign their systems so that more students each year graduate to CSU and CSU, more complete career education programs that lead to good jobs, and that achievement caps are eliminated once and for all. And that redesign will be prominent over the next couple of years.
Thank you. And Govind, what is the greatest challenge facing the district over the next 2 years?
I think the greatest challenge is budget. Of course, there are attended other challenges which will impact the mission of the Foothill-De Anza College, which is student success. The challenge with the budget is that it might result in making very hard decisions, and it might result in trying to trim things which we don't want to trim. So that is going to be a big issue, and it is not going to go away because as my colleagues have pointed out, that it's a very difficult year even at the state level. So we are kind of starved of state funding to some extent. And the other issue is that we need to actually put in place a better education delivery system so that the student success is guaranteed. We need to monitor how the online education works, and we need to actually improve on that. So we need some mechanism to do that, and that will also help in increasing the enrollment. We also need to find out how to get more foreign students to register, because there seems to be some.
Good. And now we will proceed to the third question. This is also 60 seconds. And we'll start with Gilbert. What changes would you like to help make happen by the end of your term? Go ahead.
What changes that? So there's so many things. I think the most important thing, let's see, what changes would I want to do? I believe that doing distance learning, that there's a huge opportunity that instead of having classes in person, that we can increase our enrollment by doing more distance learning. Since we are now 100% going to distance learning, I hope that someday that eventually when public health says that we can go back, that we can do a combination of both in classroom, but also think about instead of building more buildings, that can we also offer education through certificate programs by having distance learning. This will be easier for us to offer more classes and an opportunity to expand to reach to people who have full-time jobs, but also can reach a certificate program or even transfer to a four-year university by learning from this pandemic.
Thank you. Laura, what changes would you like to help make happen by the end of your term?
Well, I believe we've done heroic increases in the distance learning. We've done a great job, and I'd like to continue that. Some of our faculty was challenged with, trying to transfer from person to person to online learning, but we did a lot of professional development. We're successful in that area. So this is not going to go away. We're going to expand on that, and we're going to increase it. We're going to make it better. Also, community colleges, the old community colleges, we had a lot of kids that came in that were behind the college level criteria to be in a regular classroom. And we would give these kids 2 or 3 semesters to catch up, and it just took a long time. They would drop out. And so I would move more towards the accelerated learning model. And that's been very successful for their statewide guided pathways, for using learning communities and accelerated learning to concentrate on learning a concentrated form of math or English within a semester, a year, as opposed to 2 semesters, 3 years. And it does increase stability and success rates for our students. So I would like to see that improved. I think we're really going to have to evaluate the programs.
You're on time on this.
My time is up.
Yes. Govind, what changes would you like to help make happen by the end of your term?
So I think one of the biggest things that we need to do is to be able to address the issue of transparency and judicious use of the funds that are coming in, because prioritization of the funds will actually help a lot in terms of being able to run Foothill-De Anza College very successfully and maintaining its status among not only in the community but also across the nation. So that will be one of the things I would like to focus on: transparency, winning the support of the community, so that if there is a challenge, that we can go back to the community and we can kind of get their help to be able to fund certain activities. The second big change I would like to find out is how to handle enrollment in a way so that it actually helps the workforce development. See, what is happening is pandemic has actually put a lot of people out of work. And we need new programs so that it's possible for them to get engaged back in the workforce and be able to benefit from the new technology that is coming up. So these are some of the issues.
And Peter Landsberger, what changes would you like to help make happen by the end of your term?
I would point to 3. We need to carefully examine the college's overall program mix so that we can continue to respond to the pressing needs of our local community, especially, I think, with respect to career preparation and workforce development. Second, we need to redesign our systems. As I mentioned previously, Laura mentioned guided pathways. That's an important aspect of it, to ensure that we're delivering programs efficiently and effectively, getting students through quickly and successfully. And finally, we've got to double down on our efforts to achieve universal student success and eliminate achievement gaps. And that's done with embedded counseling, specialized support, and other features of that sort.
All right. let's move on to the fourth question. This will be 90 seconds. And the question is, how would you characterize the financial health of the district? Does COVID change things? Laura, go ahead.
Well, COVID absolutely changes things. It's very, if you go by the old cleaning of the classrooms, just cleaning up the classroom for in-person learning and disinfecting everything, you have to get more cleaning supplies, which are really hard to find. You have to make sure people are protected, the employees are protected when they're disinfecting the classrooms. So that's going to be a huge challenge, a big expense. We're also saving in other areas, but the budget, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be dramatic next year. And we are going to have to reevaluate our programs and see what will work in our community. Right now, we have excellent allied health programs with respiratory therapy, the dental hygiene, the X-ray technicians, and we want to maintain those programs, but those programs cost a lot to maintain. The per student funding on those programs, because you've got a lot of equipment to maintain, but we would like to, those are great workforce development programs, so we would like to see how we can keep those programs. But you might need to eliminate other programs that don't help with workforce development as much. I mean, I don't want to diss foreign language, but I mean, French isn't going to really help you in getting a job in our state. So that might be something we might want to eliminate.
Good. Next, Govind. How would you characterize the financial health of the district, and does COVID change things?
I think we have to realize that there's possibility of a roller coaster ride in terms of financial health. The only way we could actually prevent such a roller coaster ride is essentially that we should actually see how to maintain enrollment and be able to successfully address the issue of how people can find employment, not only as of the industry of today, but also in the industry of the future. And that would help to increase enrollment. Transfer students, I have heard that more transfer students are actually enrolling because it has certain benefits. So I think the transfer students, we have to advertise their ability to get more transfer students. We have to advertise the ability to be able to get some more foreign students. So these things will help in the financial health of the system. We also need to introduce new programs. As I mentioned, the industry changing. So help the people to get back to work, because wherever they're working, those companies may have shut down. The functions that they're working in, those would have probably vanished. So I think there is a need here for us to go after this in a very, very, very methodical fashion, so that it is possible to guarantee a higher level of enrollment, because state, the amount of money that we can get from state seems to be something which we cannot 100% depend on. And we need to find a way to have budget stability, without which, it can have very, very dark consequences. The other thing is we also need to manage our funds.
And Gilbert, how would you characterize the financial health of the district? Does COVID change things?
So definitely, yes, COVID-19 has changed things. In the past 4 years, I have passed with my colleagues 4 balanced budgets, but we also had to take into consideration all the economic concerns that we have. We have successfully offered 88 faculty members a early retirement plan, and that went very smoothly, and it did help with our budget. But even with that, we are now, that the last stats we looked at, that we went from $11 to $9 million still in the deficit. I think that little small things that are affecting us is that without having students park in our parking lots, we're not getting the revenue for that to give to our associated student bodies. Lost revenue in our parking lots of both Foothill-De Anza. Our administration has been very hard on our international students, that a lot of students are being discouraged to come to Foothill-De Anza and De Anza. So we need to find ways to make sure that our international students feel welcome as well too. And most importantly is that a lot of our part-time teachers are being affected by this budget crisis, and we need to work hand in hand also to look at certain programs that may or may not need to be cut. Everything is up, and we need to have strong communication to work with everyone to get through these rough times.
All right. And Peter, how would you characterize the financial health of the district? Does COVID change things?
It does. It's surprising you've given us 90 seconds to answer this question, and it either requires 30 seconds or 90 minutes. The 30-second response is the current condition is rather good, and it's the latter half of that is it's going to get worse because the fallout from COVID next year is going to be severe, I think. The 90-minute version actually would entail a discussion of so-called community support or so-called basic aid. It's very conceivable that with this shortfall in the state budget, that the state is no longer able to provide us with funding that is beyond what we get from local property taxes. And that will create a whole different dynamic within the district and cause us to reshape our priorities, to focus on how we use the dollars available for the greatest quality result, rather than to maintain the largest breadth of offerings and options for class enrollments that has been the priority in the past 10 years or more, maybe even longer than that. That is a very long and complicated discussion, which I can't get into now, but it's at the heart of what we will be facing.
Thank you. The next question is 60 seconds. And we'll start with Gilbert. What would be your highest priorities in allocating the $898 million in bond money statewide approved by the voters in March?
Thank you very much for that question. I think that first I want to say thank you to the voters of the Foothill-De Anza Community College District for giving us and trust of the money of those bond measures. I know that during hard times, it is very hard to support this, but we have a very comprehensive action plan that was passed by the Foothill-De Anza Community College Board that will be implemented by our chancellor and our two presidents. The majority of the board made its decision to close the Flint Center, and here we have an opportunity to replace the Flint Center with something that the whole community can be used for. So number one will definitely be what will be the future replacement of the Flint Center. Second, in the plan, there are many opportunities to do stuff that we have not done to our buildings to make sure that these buildings are intact in the future. It goes from roof to maintenance to security. Thank you. It passed by really fast.
Thank you. Peter, what would be your highest priorities in allocating the $898 million in bond money approved by voters statewide in March?
Comes in three categories. The first, general upgrade and repair of existing facilities and equipment, particularly information technology infrastructure, which needs to be expanded and deepened. The second would be limited new construction, and I mean very limited. Example projects would be the De Anza Event Center replacing Flint Center. I believe that actually is going to be a much more beneficial community resource than Flint was, certainly in the recent class, and implementation of an ambitious energy management and decarbonization plan. That's another example. And third, housing for faculty, staff, and students, but only through partnerships. I think it's very important that the district not become a property developer or a landlord. That's not in our wheelhouse. We're not particularly good at that. We need to have partners to address those issues.
All right, thank you. Laura, what would be your highest priorities in allocating the $898 million in bond money approved by the voters in March?
Well, the bond measure itself says how the money will be allocated. A good portion of it will be allocated for technology needs, maintenance and technology needs. These technology needs are expensive and they need upgrading. So that is already part of the bond measure. A second, as Peter mentioned, the ongoing maintenance of our buildings and existing buildings. And third is acquire new construction and of land and building. And so we'll of course we'll have to work with the Flint Center that we tore down. It made no sense to keep that Flint Center, although it was beloved by the community. It made no money, very little money. It was occupied only 82 days out of the year with very little profit. So we're going to have to replace it with hopefully a better center that serves the community and serves the students. And we might need to do housing, of course, with our students and our faculty.
Thank you. Good. Before I get to Govind, I want to apologize. I did not, I misspoke about where the $898 million is from. It's from a local bond issue, not a statewide bond issue. I got the local Proposition G mixed up with the statewide Proposition 13 from March. So with that correction, Govind, what would be your highest priority in allocating the $898 million from Proposition G in bond money approved by the voters in March?
I think the highest priority should be towards technology upgradation, because we are undergoing a massive change in terms of both the IT requirements in terms of being able to do online education, as well as the delivery methods. That is, it's not easy to create programs which are uniform, which can help the student success, because a lot of these students are used to sitting in classrooms and getting help, and and this is a mode of education which is slightly different. So we need to improvise even the program delivery methods. So that would be I think the topmost priority. The second is that the facilities need to be improved, because eventually people will return to the campus, and we want to make sure that they are returning to the campus. If there is a possibility to have a sustainable sustainability and future safety in the future safe approaches to actually whatever plans we have in terms of building improvement and new construction, we need to follow that.
Thank you. The next question is 90 seconds. And we'll start with Gilbert. Some students are unstably housed and fed and facing mental health challenges. What can the district do to address these realities and to help these students succeed?
I think of the 5 questions, I must say answered 4 of them the first time. I think this is a very important question during COVID-19 is mental health. With the mental health, a lot of us are staying inside, and it's been very hard, not only for students, but also for us and everyone to be inside. I think that not only that we have to fend for ourselves to go to work, make the money, pay our bills. A lot of our students are having housing insecurities and also food insecurities as well too. And I believe that at both Foothill College and De Anza College, we have also really great counseling services that when these students are in need, that they can reach out to these services. We have food pantries at both of our colleges that can help them. If there are housing insecurities, we have the Cupertino Community Services, which is now the West Valley Community Services. There are also similar services in both Mountain View, Los Altos, and Palo Alto, where students can outreach. But also what we're hearing is how do we go to the next? There is just so much uncertainty that whatever support that we can give to our students, I as a trustee working together with my colleagues and our chancellor will be there for our students to make sure that they're successful.
Thank you. Peter, some students are unstably housed and fed and facing mental health challenges. What can the district do to address these realities and to help these students succeed?
Well, first, with respect to mental health, we of course have our own resources, our own counselors and advisors. There are opportunities for professional development of our own staff to ensure that they're fully informed about resources that are available and how best to direct students towards them. And there are important partnerships or potential partnerships, again, that we need to take advantage of or stimulate. Examples would be with CHAC or perhaps our neighboring high school districts who have been concerned about mental health issues for quite some time now. But with respect to housing insecurity and food insecurity, as well as mental health issues, I think partnerships are an essential key. With respect to food insecurity, we already have well-established partnerships with Second Harvest Food Bank, Whole Foods, other organizations. Those need to be enriched and deepened. With respect to housing, again, as I said, I don't think the district can afford, nor should it become a developer or landlord, but there are very interesting projects out there like the San Jose Conservation Corps' project for what they call portable dwelling units for their students. It could be expanded to our students. We've got some capital, they've got some experience and know-how. If we can match those up, it would be great.
Thank you. Govind, some students are unstably housed and fed and facing mental health challenges. What can the district do to address these realities and to help these students succeed?
I think one of the first things that we need to address is actually food insecurity, because the food insecurity is itself a big challenge. You know, if people are going hungry, it's not a right. It's not the question of quality of life. It's actually a question, fundamental thing. So that's one place where I would like to find out how to address that issue. The other is the mental health, just because of the pandemic situation. And in the pandemic situation, I think one of the things we can do is we can have either a weekly or fortnightly method by which we advise we have this, what I would say, qualified people providing advice, either on a periodic basis or on call basis, so that it's possible for students to understand what is the kind of anxiety they are dealing with, how to overcome that anxiety. In these cases, we can take the help of the foundations like, you know, El Camino and Palo Alto, PAMF and stuff like that. These are, in terms of housing, I think housing is very hard to address. I do not think that we have a very good solution, but I would like to explore what Peter had said in terms of, you know, trying to match the funds to find out how we can solve a little bit of the housing problem. I don't think it's easy to solve. We do need to build a lot of partnerships so that we can reduce the cost of providing mental health solutions, but we need to do it urgently. It's very urgent because it can affect everybody's success.
Thank you. And Laura, some students are unstably housed and fed and facing mental health challenges. What can the district do to address these realities and to help these students succeed?
Well, I think the district has excellent partnerships with our community to help with these issues. Of course, we work with CHOC. It's a mental health service provider in Mountain View, the Community Service Agency also in Mountain View and in Cupertino. For our students, when we went to online learning, many of them didn't have the technology in their homes or the laptops, and we provided for students in need Chromebooks and Wi-Fi access cards. That helped a lot. For food insecurity, I visited both pantries in our colleges, and with Second Harvest Food, we provide a week's worth of food in a shop for students in need. And in terms of housing, we have an emergency housing at a church across the street from De Anza College. We have 5 spaces for students who are in an emergency level for housing, and they get to stay there. They're limited there for 5 days, and we work with that church. We also Work with Joe Samidian, who has in Palo Alto, we have a space, possible space there in partnership with other school districts to provide housing for our employees. That's a drop in the bucket. And we have a bond measure, and we're going to get community input and through the shared governance process, and we're going to come up with some solutions on the housing issue. And we got to address that because we're not getting the talent to come into our district to maintain the quality education that we have for Foothill-De Anza College. We need to address the housing issue for employees and our students.
Good. Let me ask Lisa at this point if we have time for the 7th question, or should we proceed straight to question 8?
I think you have time.
Okay, great. Question 7, 60 seconds. We'll start with Peter. What ideas do you have for collaboration with both governmental and non-governmental agencies and organizations?
Well, let me use the example that I already cited with the San Jose Conservation Corps. Their portable dwelling unit project involves their own students. They train students in construction skills. Involves training their students to build these small units on wheels that can house 2 students. They're planning to use this for their own students. They then can be wheeled onto into the backyard of a willing homeowner, provide the homeowner with some monthly revenue. The Conservation Corps collects the rent from the student, acts as the landlord. It's affordable for the student. The student gets both training, a place to live, etc. They're interested in expanding that to community college students. I'd love to partner with them. That's an example.
All right. Govind, what ideas do you have for collaboration with both governmental and non-governmental agencies and organizations?
So I think there are a number of ideas we need to explore. One is that we need to understand, what kind of workforce development needs to happen. So for that, we can get inputs both from industry as well as from the government. In case of, because they have the resources to actually, do this, long-range planning, and they are able to provide us a lot of good data. And the other thing is the private partnership, the public-private partnership in terms of associating ourselves with the industry, building something like what I would say industry liaison program would help us to understand where we should actually focus in terms of new job opportunities. That will be very critical. The other is trying to look at what are the options available in terms of housing, because housing is not something I think easily addressable by the district itself. It should be done by something outside of the district. And I really wanted to figure out how to do that. I think that's something which we should actually explore. The third is that basically new programs and reducing the cost of new programs.
Gilbert, what ideas do you have for collaboration with both governmental and non-governmental agencies and organizations?
For non-governmental agencies, we need to work with our high-tech companies that are around here, Apple, Facebook, and make sure that we get internships for our local students, and also with our De Anza College student automobile program that we've been working with car dealerships to make sure they have actual workforce internship, because people have to drive their cars. It could be from a Tesla that's electric cars or regular cars, that there are many opportunities, as well as nurses and dentists. At the state and federal level, both Laura Costas and I have been going to Sacramento and Washington, D.C. to lobby our elected officials to make sure that we get more financial aid for our students, either through the college program, and making sure that Secretary of Education DeVos don't take away public funding and give it to private funding. We also need to send a strong message to protect DACA and make sure that this federal administration takes serious and not discourage international students, because we depend on international students for our budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura, what ideas do you have for collaboration in both governmental and non-governmental agencies and organizations?
I think we're very fortunate in the district that we do have some successful partnerships. De Anza College has a program, design and manufacturing program, where we were partnership with the foundation, and they gave us over $1 million to help educate our students for the workforce in design 3D technology programs. We've also have a partnership with San Jose State on the Mellon Foundation on the humanities set. And again, we have a large amount of scholarships available for our students. We have a partnership right now with our respiratory therapy program. We've donated a lot of our respiratory respirators to local hospitals to help with this COVID situation. And in our 3D printing, we've designed the masks available for our first responders. So we're in constant partnership with the community, and we will continue to do so, especially in areas of workforce development and, like Gilbert Wong said, internships to help develop the workforce of our students.
All right, here's our final question. After this question, we will have closing statements, 60 seconds, and it's free form. Please ask and answer the question you wish that we had asked you.
I think one of the things that we definitely, there were two questions that I would have said that should have been asked. One is the question of how to win back the confidence of the community, because when you close a center like Flint, there was a survey conducted, and the survey was responded to by more than 1,000 respondents, and I believe more than 80% of them wanted to have the Flint Center. So the ability to connect with the hearts and minds of the community is very, very important. And I think that is where we should actually have a little bit of this thing, because after all, the community provides a lot of funds, which we don't get from the state. So I think from that point of view, I think that's very important. We need a mechanism by which we can provide some facility in lieu of what we lost at Flint Center. The second point I would like to, second question I would like to stress on is the issue of transparency and judicious use of funds. I think these are the things where we actually definitely need more oversight.
Laura, please ask and answer a question you wish we had asked you.
I wish you would have asked me about enrollment. The rumors have started that we've lost a lot of enrollment in our colleges, but in truth of the matter, the fact of the matter is our enrollment has actually gone up. And when there's, and traditionally in community colleges, when the economy is good, people don't enroll in community college because there's jobs. But now the economy is being challenged right now, and we have experienced some rise in our enrollment. So that's going to help with our per student funding. So maybe that's a question I would have liked you to ask me. The second question is on international students. We have a decrease in enrollment. International students are very important because they provide the largest amount of funding that the district gets to keep locally. Aside from that, international students bring a whole vast learning and experiences that shares with the rest of the campus. So maybe that's something, and we never have more than 10% of the population on international students, but they're a very important part of our culture.
Peter, ask and answer the question you wish we had asked you.
I wish you had asked, what's the role of the Board of Trustees? And I'd actually set out three points. First, hire, and if necessary, frankly, fire the chief executive officer who runs the organization from day to day. The board, in contrast, does number two, which is set the conditions for success, define the policies, define the strategy, keep the focus on student success and serving and fulfilling the community needs. And third, show up, including showing up for elections and engaging the community and understanding the district and helping to inform the district about the community's needs and perceptions. acting as an ambassador, kind of, so to speak. Those are the three things that I think kind of summarize the main points of what the board is responsible for.
Thank you. And Gilbert, ask and answer the question you wish we had asked you.
I believe that the question that we should also focus on is really diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is part of a main role of our mission statement at both Foothill and De Anza Community College. I think that the social justice portion in the United States needs to be definitely addressed, and Foothill-De Anza would be a great opportunity forum to address these issues. Institutional racism has existed here in the United States and also has permeated inside the district that we need to address behind. I think there's a lot of implicit bias, not saying specifically that we are trying to be racist or anything, but I think that because of implicit bias, that how can we have conversations to talk about these really delicate issues during that time. I believe that with the incidents of George Floyd, the COVID-19 staying at home, our president, pushing for divisiveness and fighting among us, that we need to overcome this by voting on November 3rd. Thank you.
All right, we've come to the point where we get closing statements, 60 seconds from each of you. We will begin with Gilbert.
I think I'm almost first on everything. First, I want to focus on my leadership, my experience, and my transparency. I will humbly ask the voters to vote for me on November 3rd, vote early and mail early. I also am very honored and humbled to have the Faculty Association, as well as the South Bay Labor Council and Santa Clara County Democrat Party's endorsement. I also have several mayors who've been supporting me, including Palo Alto Mayor Adrienne Fine, Vice Mayor Darcy Paul, Mayor Margaret Abe Koga, and numerous school board trustees who have been supporting me. I think that my personality of being inclusive, listening very carefully, and compromising is very important. I have done my outreach and talked to community members, talked to our students, and most importantly, talked to our faculty members. To get more information, please go to www.gilbertswong.com to find out more about Gilbert Wong. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura, go ahead.
I just want to thank the voters for really supporting our community college district. We're regionally, we do an excellent job of educating our students. And I've been on the board now for 15 years. I want to make sure that I protect those programs for workforce development, those programs that are important for transfer, and the support services that we offer and the partnerships that we have in the community. I really believe in the institution. It opens the doors to democracy, and I really want to protect it. I've learned a lot for the last 15 years. I chair the Audit and Finance Committee. I do believe we work as a board very well together. And I respectfully ask for your vote on this re-election. Please see my website, votelaurakasas.com. It's got great pictures. You'll be entertained. Please visit, and thank you for listening. I know you care, and good luck to all of you in your voting experiences.
Thank you. Govind.
Yeah, first of all, I think I want to thank League of Women Voters audience and incumbents for actually engaging with the audience and making sure that they understand what this district is going through. So anybody who is interested in supporting the public institutions as a means for people to be able to find their feet in this society, they should actually look at what we have said and try to find out how they can help us. So I humbly ask the community, please come forward, help us. I'll be honored if you help me get elected to the trustee position. The trustee, the board definitely needs a fresh set of eyes, skills, and perspective. And I have kind of addressed almost all questions that have been posed to me at this particular forum. And I hope you will get a chance to interact with me and find out what my ideas are. And if you would like to learn more about me, go to my website, which is www.govin.fhda.com. It'll be up in about a couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you. And closing statement, Peter.
Foothill-De Anza are important to our local economy and the health and welfare of our community. I have the knowledge, experience, and commitment to help lead Foothill-De Anza as they continue to work towards those goals and towards achieving greater equity and social justice in our society. I am proud to be endorsed by Congresswoman Anna Eshoo, State Senator Jerry Hill, Assembly members Evan Lowe and Mark Berman, Supervisor Joe Submidian, and I'm also extremely proud to be endorsed by all 15 board members of the Palo Alto Unified School District, the Mountain View Los Altos High School District, and the Fremont Union High School District, as well as by my Foothill-De Anza colleagues. Please join them in supporting my campaign. Visit my website at plansberger.com, and please vote for me this November. Thank you very much, and thank you to the League.
Well, thank you all. That concludes our forum. I would like to thank the candidates for participating and the volunteers who have made this forum possible. The League of Women Voters believes that a democratic government depends upon the informed and active participation of its citizens, and we hope that the insights you have gained from this forum will help in planning your vote. To look at a personalized ballot with information about your candidates and ballot initiatives, please visit the website votersedge.org after you receive your ballot. Voters Edge also provides information about major donors for candidates and initiatives. When this forum closes, our webpage will appear showing our election events and links to recordings of those that have already occurred. Of course, this being the first, there won't be any yet. For the November 3rd election, please vote early and deposit your signed ballot in a ballot drop box or mailbox as soon as possible. And there are drop boxes on both campuses of Foothill-De Anza. Thank you for making our democracy work.